What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another video. It is your host, Trent James, and I hope that you are all doing well. I am down here in Los Angeles. I am just fine. I had to evacuate for a few days, but I'm back at my place now. Fortunately for me, unlike a lot of other people, my place is just fine, and everything in the surrounding area is just fine. However, there's a lot of other people that are still without their homes and are still not able to go back in some of these places. So I hope that everybody out there in the LA areas are staying safe and taking care of themselves and everybody else around them. The topic of today's video is going to be about an arrest that was made on January 12th. So 2 days ago. I think it was 2 days ago. What's today? The 13th, yesterday. Deputy with the Mendocino County Sheriff's Office was arrested and booked at the jail in Ukiah for domestic battery. So that is domestic violence against the girl that he is in a romantic dating sexual relationship with in that county. And he has been subsequently released from county jail this morning at about 2 o'clock in the morning. That quick release tells me that he bailed himself out, and the bail's 10%. So it's $25,000. So he bailed himself out for $2,500 through a bail bondsman, most likely. And according to one of his neighbors, law enforcement went over to his house to arrest him. Took him approximately 20 to 30 minutes to come out. He subsequently exited his residence, was taken into custody without further incident. This is the subject of the video right here, circled in red. This guy right here, his name is Alex Tong. And I worked with Alex on the street for a period of time. He was an animal control guy when I was working on the street initially, prior to him getting hired on as a deputy with the sheriff's office there in Ukiah. Also, kind of a side note, this guy, JD Comer, I've done a video on him in the past. There was an interesting child pornography incident that this guy, the sheriff, Matt Kendall, was trying his best to cover up for this guy, because they have to save face for the good of the sheriff's office there and its awesome reputation, which is actually a really shitty reputation. But this dude right here has subsequently retired out of nowhere early and moved. Last I heard, he was moving to Texas, sold his place in Fort Bragg. And this was during the aftermath of the child pornography incident that his son, 23-year-old son, took the rap for, that lived with him at his house, that he, quote, had no knowledge of. Very interesting. Anyway, back to the topic of this guy, Alex. So he has been arrested and booked. And I used to run a podcast, for those of you that don't know. It was called Two Fired Cops, with my friend Chris Awad, who was a sergeant in the county that I worked as well. And we covered or I'm sorry, did I cover it with him? Yes, him and I covered another story involving Alex Tong, the guy that I just showed you that was arrested for domestic battery. We covered this September of 2023 or October of 2023. So a little over a year ago on our podcast, which no longer exists. I shut that down. But at the time, and this is all straight facts, this is all proven, okay? So during that time, Alex Tong was at a house party. And this house belonged to a cop that works for the Ukiah Police Department in Mendocino County. His wife, she's not in law enforcement, and his wife's sister, who was a dispatcher for the Mendocino County Sheriff's Office. I don't know if she still is, but she was at the time. Then you have Alex there at this house gathering as well, and his other girlfriend at the time, not the current one that he was just arrested for. During this house party gathering, Alex Tong became drunk, which he frequently does apparently. And he manhandled his, at the time, girlfriend in front of those three people: cop, dispatcher, and cop's wife, okay? In front of her, yanking her around, pushing her, getting into a verbal argument with her. And it was so bad that one of those people, I believe that it was the cop's wife, had to call 911 and said, hey, there's a domestic violence incident occurring at our house with these people involved. All three of us saw it. So you have three separate people that are viewing this domestic violence incident transpire before their eyes. So the local police department shows up, I believe a sergeant with the police department, that Ukiah PD, and then a sergeant. His name's Eric Raboli. He's now retired, with the Mendocino County Sheriff's Office, showed up where Alex works, and a deputy with the Mendocino County Sheriff's Office, his last name is Mendoza, also showed up to this domestic violence call September 2023. Now, all three witnesses relayed to the sergeant at the Ukiah Police Department and the sergeant at the Mendocino County Sheriff's Office that, hey, this is what just happened. We watched Alex yanking this girl around, his girlfriend. There was a verbal incident. He was very physical with her. There has been times in the past where his girlfriend had reported to her close friends there that he had also been physical with her, prevented her from leaving the home, etc. And that night, what ended up happening is Alex got a ride home from the sergeant, I believe, Eric Herboli. So he got a ride home, did not go to jail. Now, the female victim at the time, his girlfriend, during this house party, she did not cooperate with law enforcement. She said nothing happened, right? But this is very common in domestic violence incidents, and the fact that he's a cop, it's a small town, and she was afraid of further backlash, justifiably so on her end, if she had, been forthcoming and reported it. The messed up thing about this is Alex should have gone to jail for that. Okay. By law, you do not need the victim in that exact scenario to cooperate with law enforcement and to provide an exact accounting of what happened or even admit to the fact that there was domestic violence. You have three separate witnesses, all of which are probably the best witnesses you can have: a dispatcher, a cop with that department, and his wife, okay, that are all saying, we just saw this and it was so bad that we had to call cops to come to the house. Based on their statements alone, you can absolutely make that arrest and book that guy for domestic violence 100%. Okay, by law, yes. So, and any other cops out there that say no, you can't, you have to have an actual victim of a crime, blah blah blah, that is not true. And that's, you need to go back and read a book, man. Like, because in that exact scenario, you do not. You just need the witnesses' statements. You're good by law. You have the probable cause to make that arrest, and you should have, for liability purposes and to have this documented. The dude should have been fired 100%. But he got a ride home from the sergeant. He got a week vacation from his direct lieutenant, which is Jason Cadillo. This guy right here, Jason Cadillo, off, and then give him a week off, paid, right, for, quote, stress leave, because Alex Tong had been in the shooting a few years before, and he's using all these things that he's doing, violating the law and beating up girls to, he's justifying it because of his PTSD. I have PTSD too, very bad, in fact, for a lot of things that I did as a cop. And I never once hit my girlfriend. So I don't know how that's a justified excuse. But this guy right here authorized all that. This guy was also fired from the Lake County Sheriff's Office, which was the agency that he worked at before getting hired at Mendocino County Sheriff's Office. This was back in like 99, though. And the allegation was that he sexually assaulted a woman on duty twice. And then he was subsequently fired for that. And she was paid out a substantial sum of money. Interesting. Anyway, so at the time, yeah, so that all went away, right? And then now this guy just does it again. And what ended up happening is, I was told at the time, about a week ago, that Alex Tong was in an IA, so an internal affairs investigation, was placed off work. And I'm like, that's interesting. And I heard at the time that it was for a verbal argument or something that occurred at the gym he goes to in Ukiah. Okay, so what ended up happening is a gym member, I'm going to leave out his name, went to the Ukiah Police Department to report on behalf of the female party there, Alex's girlfriend, that, hey, she is getting beaten up. I don't know the exact circumstances in terms of her injuries or how that exactly played out, but essentially that's what happened. Alex heard about it. And then Alex and his little buddy there, his little lackey, who, you should probably stop hanging out with Alex, bro. Like, both of you guys are fucking ridiculous. But anyway, they go and confront this guy at the gym. And so, like, hey, man, what the fuck? Right. And then a argument ensues. I don't think it was physical or anything like that, but that's why that occurred. And then it sounds like Alex's girlfriend ended up cooperating with law enforcement, and he has subsequently been arrested. Now it's like innocent until proven guilty. No, this guy has a track record of it. And, maybe Sheriff Kendall, you should stop letting these guys off so light. I'm still waiting to hear. And it sounds like things are slowly starting to change there in terms of them putting these guys off of work so fast, because they do have a new undersheriff, from my understanding. He's not from the area, so he doesn't know anything about Mendocino County, nor does he probably care about it. But from my understanding, he's okay, right? He's there to fulfill his retirement purposes like everybody else from out of the area. I think he comes from Southern California. They come up for a few years, collect more money, and then they leave. That's how that happens, right? We've seen that at other agencies up in Mendocino County. But it sounds like they're starting to put more of these guys off of work as soon as they get into problems. There is another sergeant there. His name is Rich Van Buren that works for the Mendocino County Sheriff's Office. I'm still waiting to see what's going to happen with this guy. I think like a year ago, he was put off of work. He's about 50. He was put off of work in internal affairs investigation there for allegedly raping a young woman that's 19 years old. She went to report it and he got called into the detective's office there. Long story short, he got cleared of that because that 19-year-old girl admitted to the fact that, yeah, we did have sex. It was consensual, though, but my boyfriend at the time found out, and all is good. Okay. And I made that up that he forced me. So Rich goes back to work. Now, the problem with this is the fact that he's off of work again because at least 7 women that are affiliated with the Mendocino County Sheriff's Office, either at a patrol level, a civilian capacity there that work there at the office, or some other position, have all came together to report that this guy has sexually harassed them over the years. 2 of these women during this time when I was still working at the agency had told me and other people about it. And it's just like nothing was getting done. Okay. But they officially all came together and they reported it. And, this is a lot of touching, groping, hugging, getting really close, and stuff that they are just not comfortable with at all, that definitely crosses a major line. And Matt Kendall, the sheriff, he put off Rich Van Buren, took him off the street, right? Like, oh man, all these women are complaining about you, Rich, because you're like clearly a sexual deviant. So we're going to take you off the road, right? Because this is the second incident now recently. So they promoted him to the marijuana unit, which automatically gives him a 5% pay increase, but he's by himself. No one's in that unit anymore because marijuana is not illegal really. And he's just off the road, out of sight, out of mind, right? They conclude the investigation, which was done by a lieutenant with the Santa Rosa Police Department, the agency an hour south in Sonoma County, which took way too long, bro. Like, what are you doing, Lieutenant? Why does it take you that long to interview like a few different women about this incident? Like, why did it take so long? This is crazy. They finally concluded it. Anyway, probably did the best that they could to try to get him out of this, but that wasn't going to work this time. So he is still off work, and it looks like he's not going to be coming back. And I hope that the sheriff, Matt Kendall, does not cut him any slack or leeway this time, because this guy is out of control. First of all, that 19-year-old, regardless of it being consensual, dude, you're 50. Okay. You knew this girl had a boyfriend. She's 19. And I don't know for a fact if some of that was on duty, but it wouldn't surprise me. Anyway, so hopefully, I don't see how they're going to let Alex Tong keep his. That was kind of like a long rant, because then there's another guy that's off duty right now in another IA investigation that works patrol there. He worked with Alex. I don't know, not on the same shift or anything, but I'm waiting to see what the status of that is before I talk about it. And there's just a bunch of shit going on there, man. It's like, Matt Kendall, what are you doing? Well, I know that you're a corrupt POS, but these guys are out of control, man. You got to do something about this shit. It's like, first of all, you need to resign. You need to just give up your position because you're not a leader. You're a liar. You still lying to the public. You're still trying to cover for these guys the best that you can. You know what I mean? But it's clearly not working anymore. We're in a new age. It's 2025. It's not back in your day in the 90s, early 2000s, where you and Shannon Barney can get away with a lot of this stuff. So the ship is sinking, my guy. And I feel bad for some of these new guys that are getting hired there because they have no clue what they're getting into. No clue. It's such a shame. But hopefully Alex gets fired this time. You guys don't let Jason Cadillo, his lieutenant, get him out of it, or you get him out of it, because that's ultimately your call. And he goes to court, and I hope that no other abuse comes to his probably now ex-girlfriend. So that's going to be it for this video, guys. And we will keep on keeping on and see how all this plays out. Catch you guys in the next one. Take care.